things were a little bit different then than they are now, obviously, with one and dones and leaving early and things like that. So, you get two national championships. You start on both national championships teams. You play really well for 2 seasons. Was there any like thought of leaving, or was it just I'll be here for 4 years and
Yeah, no, I mean it's funny, man. Like it's so different now than it was
yeah,
back then. I didn't think about the NBA. I seriously didn't think about the NBA until like the end of my junior year. Now I broke my toe my junior like mid-season my junior year. Came back, played in the ACC tournament, played in the tournament. We lost to J Kidd and Cal
mhm.
in that incredible game in the second round. Like I had a broken toe. Like,
Yeah.
and I tell Jason all the time, the only reason why y'all beat us because I had a broken toe. And but um, so I was surgery, rehab, sort of getting myself ready. And so at that moment, you kind of think, and in my junior year, I roomed with Tony Lang and Thomas Hill, and Thomas
Mhm.
was a senior. So I remember Thomas, he had signed with an agent, and he was going to work out with teams. And so that's when it kind of dawned on me, like, wow, this is what like next year, like we'll be doing this.
Yeah.
We'll be like, Lang, man, this is what we'll be doing. We'll be
Mhm.
going, and Thomas would come back, and he'd have like practice shorts from a team, and like, oh man, you got the NBA socks, like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like and
yeah.
all of that. And so it was that's when it like really truthfully, like that's when I first started thinking about like the idea of me being in the NBA. Such a different environment than right now. And at that point, nobody had left early. Um, I think the first group that left Duke early, I think was like Elton,
Yeah.
Brandon, Corey, and those guys
Mhm.
in '99. So it was still kind of a little bit old school, age of innocence. 4 years. And I don't know about you, like I had fun in college. Like I
Oh,
didn't.
absolutely. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, there was a part of me that didn't want to leave. Like I
Yeah.
wish I could have, um, you know. So and I do think, and I'll say this, and this is not an indictment on today's players, but I do think a lot of guys miss out on the entire sort of college experience, and
Mhm.
I don't know if I would have had the same connection, the same um, what's the word I'm looking for? The same, just the same overall feeling about the program and about
Yeah.
if I had only been there for 1 year.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it's interesting too. Like I've noticed in recent years, in the last 10 years, you have a lot of guys who go on to the NBA. A lot of guys are fortunate to be one and done players. Um, and during the All Star break, they come back to Duke.
Mhm.
And let me tell you something. I love Duke. But I don't know if like I can think of some other places I'd want to go
No, yeah,
during
100%,
the All Star break.
100%.
I'll be somewhere with a with some sand
Yeah, a couple palm trees, yeah.
and drink with an umbrella, whatever. And and so I think a lot of that is because they miss it. Like there's something
Mhm.
about it. They just being in that environment, being a student. I just find that really fascinating. I've watched All Star games. Duke's inevitably had a game at home, and a lot of guys who recently left come back to be
Yeah,
back
and
at
at the
Duke
game, yeah.
at the game. Like that's really something. So, but anyway, to answer your question, no, not until the beginning of my senior year did I start to think, okay, wow, like NBA is real.
Yeah. So then speaking of your senior year, you slid over to point guard in 94. Kind of like you kind of mentioned earlier, like before point forwards were a thing. Um, what was that year like for you? I mean, I know you mentioned earlier, you were kind of playing backup point to Bobby. your freshman and sophomore year. So what was it like now? Okay, I'm the starting point guard. Do you like change? Do you change your mentality? Or are you like, okay, I got to pass it more? Or what was that senior year like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I always had an unselfish sort of approach. Like I wasn't someone who was hungry to score. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I did score, but I enjoyed facilitating and passing and setting people up. And so, obviously it's a different responsibility now with the ball in your hands.
Yeah.
Coach and I talked about it in the off season. Like, look, I'm going to put the ball in your hands. They changed the rule that year where you didn't have a 5-second count while
Okay.
dribbling
Yep.
the basket.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember, I remember that summer. And I'm down there in Durham. I'm rehabbing. I'm in summer school, and they used to have this Magic Johnson tape. I think it was like Showtime with Magic.
Mm-hmm.
You buy it at the video store, and they had footage of Magic at Michigan State when he was, the point guard there. And so it might have been like 10 clips. And so I would watch that over and over again
Mm-hmm.
and watch his moves and all that. And so, and I remember Chris Collins he just finished his freshman year. And so I went up to Chicago to hang out with Chris. And we went to the Bulls game. The Bulls were in the conference finals. They beat the Knicks. Last game in the old Chicago, or last season in the old Chicago stadium. So I spent like a weekend with Chris, and I was like, Chris, you're my Byron Scott. Hey man, hey, run the break. I'm gonna hit you. I'm gassing him up.
Yeah.
And I knew we had Cherokee and Tony, and then Jeff came in as a freshman, Jeff Capel, and he wasn't, Joey Beard, Greg Newton were rated higher than him, but Jeff really separated himself like from day one.
Yeah.
And so, really Jeff and I became close at that time. And so, I felt like, I don't know, I felt like with those two, especially Chris and Jeff, like I needed them for us to have a chance to win. I needed them to be really good.
Yeah.
I knew Cherokee, I knew Tony, I knew they had already started for a couple of years. So I know just as a friend, as a teammate, I invested a lot of time with those two.
Mm-hmm.
And just hanging out, spending time with them. Just I think big picture, knowing we needed them to try to win.
Yeah.
Carolina had just won, and they returned everybody but George Lynch. They brought in like Rasheed Wallace, Jerry Stackhouse, Jeff McGinn. So everybody was picking them to win. And I remember there was like the opening press conference or whatever, media day for seniors. And I remember I said, we're going to be the silent assassins. Everyone's focusing on them, and we're just going to go about our business, and you guys are going to look up and see we're right there in the thick of things. And that's kind of bold of me. And so, but I started off at point, and early on, I'm trying to get my rhythm, get back from my injury.
Yeah.
But I'm also trying to get everybody going. Like I'm trying to get Jeff and Chris. Tony was the best player, on our team preseason, maybe the first month or two of the season. I mean, Tony was playing unreal. And so, but I started to find my way. And at times I struggled that year, like finding that balance between facilitating and scoring. And I think at times even coach took me off the ball just to get me in a scorer's mindset.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that was a fun season. I remember, big dog Glenn Robinson, he was on a tear that year. Like I think he averaged 30 a game. Like he was killing.
That's crazy in college.
Gates smoking.
Yeah.
6'9", can shoot the ball, athletic. And I remember my dad was like, man, like, don't you want player of the year? This was early, like maybe in December. Like, Glenn's running off with it. And I said, I want to win a championship. Like, and I know that and it wasn't really I wasn't a scorer like that. I had moments, but I didn't approach the game mentally like that. But I felt like I need these guys to really develop for us, to become champions, hopefully at the end of the year. And I'm proud that they did. Like, Jeff just got better and gained, confidence and trust in everyone. Chris running around the court,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
threes, and but that team, and I want to be careful in how I say this. That team might not have been the most talented, and obviously not the best team, but in terms of like togetherness, in terms of like just on the same page, to connectivity, I thought by far we were that.
Yeah.
Like, it was just, and like I enjoyed those guys.
Yeah.
And so it was not that I didn't enjoy the other guys, but it just seemed like we had to trust each other and be connected for us to have a chance to win.